The St. Louis Rams go on the road on Sunday to face their NFC West division rival Seattle Seahawks in the season finale for both teams. Obviously, it's Week 17. Seattle is installed as a 10.5-point favorite in this game on BETDAQ. 41 is the total. Now, 10.5 is a really big number, especially when you consider the St. Louis Rams are a tough team. 7-7-1 on the year in Jeff Fisher's first year as head coach. They've been an excellent team to back, 10-5 against the spread, and they've been a great team to back on the road recently. The Rams are 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 road games. They're just a tough team. They play tough defense. They're good against the run and the pass, but they're especially good in the secondary. They're conservative on offense. They like to run the football. Steven Jackson, once again this year, has been their best offensive player. Even though they've cut back on Jackson's workload a little bit. 990 yards this year, only 10 yards away from another 1,000-yard season. But this could be Steven Jackson's final game as a member of the St. Louis Rams. We'll have to keep an eye on his situation in the offseason. It sounds like it is going to be Steven Jackson's final game as a St. Louis Ram. A great career he's had there. Maybe it'll end up being underappreciated because not a whole lot of playoff success, obviously, but still, Steven Jackson has been a great player for a number of years in the NFL. And hey, don't expect him to go down with a whimper in this game, even though the Seattle Seahawks, not only do they have the #1 scoring defense in the NFL, but the last 3 games, their offense has been playing as well as any team in the NFL. Seattle's last 3 games, 58-0 over Arizona, 50-17 over the Buffalo Bills, and then 42-13 last week over the San Francisco 49ers, a team that many people thought coming into the game might be the best team in the NFC. I mean, Seattle is just playing as well as any team in the league right now outside of maybe the Denver Broncos, but I just told you these recent results. I mean, teams aren't even competitive with the Seahawks. They're so good on defense. Like we said, first in the NFL in points allowed. I mean, great front seven, better secondary. Big news for them this week, Richard Sherman winning his appeal. Sherman faced a 4-game suspension for performance-enhancing drugs, but apparently the tester contaminated the test. At least that's what we're hearing. But Richard Sherman will not miss any games. That's big news for the Seahawks. He might be their best cornerback, even though he was left out of the Pro Bowl, which is a crime. When you look at this guy's numbers this year, he's putting together, you could argue, one of the best seasons a cornerback has had over the last 10 years. I'm talking about things like passer rating against, turnovers forced. I mean, Richard Sherman has been incredible, but the entire Seahawks defense really, especially at home. The Seahawks have been unbeatable at home, 7-0 this year at home. They've covered all 7 times, winning games by an average of 20 points per game. And they faced good teams at home. They beat teams like the New England Patriots, the Green Bay Packers, San Francisco, Dallas. It's not like they face an easy home schedule. So again, we have a 10.5-point number in this game. I mean, it just goes to show you how much respect the Seahawks are getting right now, and it's hard not to be on that side. I mean, I've totally come around on the Seahawks. I think they look like the best team in the NFC right now. If they didn't have to play 3 straight road games in the playoffs, I'd be calling them a Super Bowl favorite right now. But the fact they have to play 3 straight road games, or they'll likely have to play 3 straight road games, they haven't been near as good on the road this season. Now, that could change on Sunday. It's highly unlikely. But if the Seahawks win this game, which they're expected to, obviously, and if San Francisco were to manage to lose to the Arizona Cardinals. Now, San Francisco is a 16.5-point favorite. Arizona is starting Brian Hoyer at quarterback, his first career start in the NFL. So that's extremely unlikely. But if it were to happen, if Arizona was to beat San Francisco and Seattle was to win, then the Seahawks would win the NFC West. That means they would have at least 1 home game. Now, if another thing happened, if Minnesota were to beat Green Bay, so if Arizona beat San Francisco and Minnesota beat Green Bay, Seattle would get the #2 seed in the NFC, a bye in the first round of the playoffs, and a home game in the divisional round. So in that case, Seattle would be extremely dangerous. And by the way, I think the Vikings have a good chance of upsetting the Green Bay Packers, but the Arizona Cardinals have almost no chance of beating the San Francisco 49ers. So effectively, Seattle's locked in. They're going to be the 5 seed. They're going to be the wild card. Most likely going to play the winner of the NFC East on the road in the first round of the playoffs. But again, they will have to play, most likely they'll have to play 3 straight road games to get to the Super Bowl. And that is a tough ask for a team with a rookie quarterback, even though that rookie quarterback, Russell Wilson, has been playing some great, great football. Now, will Seattle be able to cover the 10.5 on Sunday? It's tough. First off, it's tough to go against them. I mean, Seattle, again, 7-0 against the spread at home, winning home games by an average of 20 points per game. A bet against the Seahawks at home right now is a real leap of faith. That being said, as this game wears on, it might become meaningless for Seattle. Well, what I mean by that is, if we're looking at the middle of the third quarter here and San Francisco, as many people think they're going to, has a 20-point lead or a 24-point lead over Arizona, I mean, that game might get non-competitive early. Then Seattle, all of a sudden, this game becomes meaningless for them. Will Pete Carroll start resting players? Now, we don't have any past history to go on in terms of Pete Carroll because he's never faced a game in which they've already locked up the playoffs and it's unimportant. And this game isn't like that either, just in case Arizona beats San Francisco. But, you know, it's very possible that in the middle of the third quarter, late in the third quarter, early in the fourth quarter, whatever it may be, when they see on that scoreboard that San Francisco is way ahead, they might not want to risk injury to some of their better players on both sides of the ball. So watch out for that. It's a possibility Seattle might pull some of their starters. We might see Matt Flynn before the end of this game. And St. Louis, as we said, they're very conservative offensively. Now, that lends itself to close games. That's a big reason the Rams 5-0, like we said, against the spread, their last 5 road games. It's a big reason they're 10-5 against the spread this season, despite the fact they're only 500 at 7-1. They just don't get blown out a lot. They play good defense. They shorten the games because they run the ball. They control the clock. A good time of possession team. So I guess I lean towards the Rams on Sunday. Now, you might be able to tell this is not one of my favorite games of the day, and it's not. I mean, hey, I don't expect the Rams offense to have much success against this great Seattle defense. The Rams are limited on offense, 24th in total offense, 26th in points scored. We mentioned Seattle number 1 in the league in points scored. But the Rams offense a little bit better with Danny Amendola in the lineup, and he's been back for the last couple of weeks. We mentioned this could be Steven Jackson's final game in a Ram uniform. I'm sure he's going to want to go out with a bang. I don't like the Rams' chances of winning this game, but 10.5 just feels uncomfortable to me in this situation when Seattle may or may not have a lot to play for in the second half of this game. I lean towards St. Louis plus 10.5, and I have a lean towards under 41, even though Seattle has scored over 41 in each of the last 3 games. So, I don't expect quite the same performance out of the Seattle offense that we've seen over the last few weeks. Have a slight lean towards St. Louis plus 10.5 in this game and under 41.